Next to come on stage is the CEO of one of our sponsors for today, Pavan Varma from CEO Radiant Software, where he focuses on growth through valuable partnerships and alliances. Radiant serves clients across different sectors from banking and finance, insurance and energy. He holds a degree in computer science and a master's in management from FMS Delhi with over 17 years experience in technology and management. Welcome on stage. Last but not least, Frank Njiri, Chief Business Officer of Midrash Insurance and Risk Consultants. Over 10 years experience in the insurance and risk management industry, and he excels in crafting risk management strategies and optimizing insurance portfolios. His experience spans risk assessment, claims management, compliance, and business continuity planning. He was previously a consultant at Lamy, having focused on sales optimization and strategy development. Frank, welcome on stage, as Pavan also takes to stage. To you.
I was not introduced.
Oh, you're not introduced, but I said Carol Odero.
No, you did not give me that whole spiel about what I do and...
How can I? How can I? So over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you guys set the timer for 25 minutes so that I know my time? Because right now it's not. We have been given 25 minutes because of time, so we don't have a lot to do. So I'd just like to start off by asking all of you if the regulator is a friend or a foe. I'll start with you, Eric.
Great. Thank you so much, Carol, for that question. And it's a pleasure to be here. For us at Bionet, we see the regulator as a friend. They form a fundamental baseline for us to continuously look out to in regards to safety, quality, and ethical standards. So for us, we continue to see them as a friend.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning. I don't know where we are. I generally also think it's a friend. Because we are in a business which carries a lot of responsibility, and I think this responsibility dealing with financial inclusion, protection, etc., needs a framework. And I must say, especially here in Kenya, and talking about InsureTech today, the regulator has been very supportive and understanding about the need of technology and also about the right how to use technology in the right way. So definitely here in Kenya also a friend.
My views are quite same, but I see them as a guardian actually. Okay, more like a guardian of where they are as a friend as well, but they help companies as well as the consumer rights, okay, at the same time. They protect both of them. Role is quite crucial and important to view the both sides, okay, not just from the insurance company's perspective, but from the consumer perspective as well, and taking the right initiatives and giving the right insights to the companies, that what shall be done. I do see them as a guardian more than just a friend.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to say an appropriate ally. And one reason being is that we're just in the season of renewing our licenses. So I don't think I want to say otherwise. But yeah, the regulator here in the market, I have seen...
For InsureTech. Is technology also a friend? Yeah.
I think technology is always a friend, isn't it? Especially in 2024. And maybe just to add on to your previous question, I think it is less about is the regulator a friend or not. I think the biggest challenge regulation is having is that sometimes technology is quicker than regulation. And that is, I think, what every InsureTech, whether it's on the panel or in the room or in any other industry, is struggling with, right? That sometimes we are quicker than the regulator. And I think there's a couple of people, especially here in Kenya, who do a fantastic job to lobby that regulation is keeping the pace of tech. And I think this is also where insurance in general has to really pick up, because our decision-making processes, and that's a message to all the underwriter here in the rooms, are taking too long. Yeah. I had an incident the other day that an underwriter came back on our SaaS offering after like a year, 9 months, 12 months, right? And I said, okay, which version do you want? Do you want the version which we actually offered to you, or do you want the version 3.6?
Yeah.
You know, just for picturelessly speaking. So maybe that isn't. But I think in general, technology can help, speaking about that, to, identify the regulations, for every player much quicker, assess the risk, and then also measure the impact on the industries. Just yesterday, the brokerages were also here in Kenya hit by some reporting requirements, and this is really where technology can come in and sort that very quickly. So I think in 2024, regulation and tech have to go hand in hand and do this identification assessment, and then also obviously acting on regulations in time and promptly. So 100% hand in hand.
Van, what about you? Are you handicapped by innovating around software when it comes to designing what InsureTechs need? Do you have to also partner with the regulator from the beginning and embed it in your design process?
There are, fortunately, now regulators are matching up with all the insights that they get from industry, and they are taking the measures about the technological transformations that are happening. But yes, many times challenges do come where we see that the policies and frameworks that are there are a lot of gaps. Okay. And many times we need to report to the regulator as well that, this is something that you will need to take care, otherwise tomorrow there will be problems. We design solutions keeping in mind that whatever regulatory frameworks are there, they shall be taken care. But if not, then what shall be the next step? Many times companies do find the gap and take leverage of it. Okay. May not be very good for the consumers. Many times this is very good for the consumers. So this is something that we as a technology company need to take care, and we always take care of that. Whatever we are doing and we are implementing for the insurance companies, or be it for aggregators or brokers, anyone, okay, that shall comply the guidelines that are given. But it is job for the regulators as well. So transformation, digital transformation that we talk, it is not just for the insurance companies or the companies or the consumers. Equally, it is important for the insurance regulatory. They need to match up to the level. Otherwise, these companies and digital transformation for them will go 100 miles ahead, and regulators will be sitting and building up the frameworks and policies that are not as per the today's need. So I believe that it shall go hand in hand, and we do try wherever basically we find any compliances that regulator has to come in picture, and they must take care.
Okay. Yeah. And finally, Frank, when traditional insurance companies collaborate with InsureTechs, which it should be encouraged, how do they handle regulatory challenges? Because the InsureTechs have a specific, unique set of dilemmas, and traditional insurance have other issues. But when you collaborate, it's like you create a whole new entity. How do you manage that?
I think one of the biggest challenges that InsureTechs, especially in the African markets, go through is a problem of information asymmetry. What the insurers know and what the InsureTechs know doesn't seem to have a convergence. However, I seem to think that one of the biggest solutions to such kind of a problem, and I would imagine that for most InsureTechs, the biggest problem for them innovating fast is the ecosystem, where the ecosystem seems to be not developing as fast as they would want it to be. So I think regulators need to be at the forefront, and especially from a simple step of creating a test environment for products, and perhaps innovative sandboxes where both InsureTechs, insurers, and regulators can meet perhaps, and have a test environment to be able to define the parameters of how products will function. Because one of the things I see, especially in the Kenyan market, even from the product level, innovation seems to be very slow. Yeah, I still remember that when electric cars hit the Kenyan market, most insurers did not have a provision for them, because the only thing that showed up in their policies was diesel-powered engines. So they had to innovate, but that took a bit of time. So I would say the InsureTechs have the agility of innovation. The insurers have the advantage of over a long period of time, they have faced compliance issues, they have done progressive development. And the regulator, on the other hand, presents an opportunity for these two players to offer them a proper market for them to play under. So I think no one can operate in a silo on their own side. There needs to be collaborative, and thankfully, what like Benta is doing, fast innovation, but that fast innovation is going to be slowed down if the ecosystem is not developing as fast. Yeah.
Yes, because you are going to be next. So I was going to ask how the landscape has evolved and how have you seen the evolution of it? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe something to add there. Something MTech has experienced in, for example, the Rwandan market is that innovation was highly encouraged from the regulator, and not just encouraged in terms of, please guys, we need to service the end user better, simplify insurance and so on, but really put a framework there that every underwriter was, for the lack of a better word, forced to service their end users instantly, seamless, and end-to-end. Yeah, and that can only be done ideally through technology when you're thinking further. So I think digitalization, innovation has to be really come from that point of view. Having said that, I think in Kenya we are pushing. I think it is just a question of speed. But when you're asking me how the ecosystem has evolved over the last 3-5 years since we are in the business, I think they have tremendous steps being done. I mean, you don't meet one underwriter in the ecosystem who's not thinking digital, right? Some are obviously quicker. We are seeing Britain here with the Beta Lab, also really bringing up the very young innovators, in terms of pushing solutions, bringing in international know-how, but really every underwriter is supporting digitalization, thinking digital, because they know this is the only way to get away, not even from the 3%, but more towards the 2% penetration, up towards South African levels, which are more towards the 6-7% penetration, right? On the other hand, we're also seeing other aggregators also, bank assurance, and brokers, agents, amazing solutions for them to join it, because it is an ecosystem. You can't just come from a product perspective, which is the underwriters. You need to take everybody on board. You need to bring, I don't know the exact number, but a huge portion of policies are still being distributed through intermediaries. If you do not digitalize them as well, you're not going to get the impact the industry and the ecosystem is looking for. If you're only concentrating on the purchase part and not on the claims part, like MTBA, etc., you will also not get the impact. So this, everybody here in the room, you have taken on quite a task, right?
Yeah.
So
just to go back to Rwanda, I'm stuck on Rwanda.
Yeah.
What is it that they are doing different that we can learn from?
So there was a week, I think, and now the Rwanda market is obviously significantly smaller, right? We know that. Nearly every underwriter was reaching out to me and says, Benta, we need, basically they call you and say, we need tech. You probably know these calls, right? We need to do something on tech. And you're like on the phone, on the Zoom call, and you're like, now, where do we start, right? But there apparently has been a meeting with the regulator where they said, guys, we need to bring insurance closer to the people. How can it be that people are not having to go into a banking branch anymore, right? But insurance, even the smallest policy, travel, PA, micro-medical, takes like 2-week sales cycle. That's what we're dealing with. Do something. And the only way to do it, and they had a consultant, was you guys have to deploy tech. So now all the underwriters were sent home by the regulator. We want you to come with a roadmap of technology and digitalization in the next 4 weeks. And obviously, when the regulator is putting this kind of framework there, you have to comply, right? That's
true.
And that is, and I think that pressure can only come from regulation.
All right.
Here in Kenya, we are a little bit softer in the approach, which is probably also needed because it's a bigger market, more players, etc. Having said that, we have Bima Lab, we have, I think Winnie is also in the room here, who has been a super part of that. So there's a lot happening in a more softer approach, but from where I'm sitting, at least, in an approach which is really taking everybody on that journey. And I think that in the Kenyan market, that is super essential.
Okay. You talked a lot about technology, but what kind of technological challenges are InsureTech facing? And how do you help them find solutions?
A lot. Actually, there are a lot of gaps. I would say one is having the right insights. Okay, so all the insurance companies do have a lot of data. They do have a lot of data they have gathered since last 30, 40, 50 years. Okay, but how they utilize that data, okay, how they go to the next level from it, that is most significant thing for all of the insurance companies, underwriters. Okay, it's not just about selling the insurance policies. Okay, how do you serve your customers? What is your claim ratios? How you are doing all that under the regulatory frameworks? Okay, it's not something that you are selling 1 million policies every year, but your claim ratio that is something very, very bad, and you don't even know that what is your exact claim ratio. Okay, how many people are coming? What kind of rejections are happening? Okay, how you are getting? If there is rejections happening, what are insights about it? There could be 10 different regions for it. Are you reporting all those regions to your regulator? Okay. Does that data is coming in the real time? It's not something that regulators are getting to know after 3 years or 5 years. Then market is in different shape. 3-4 years is a big time. So there are a lot of gaps that regulator also need to put in things, frameworks, but more important is for insurance companies to do work on these things alongside making digitalization for their customers to buy the policies. Okay, buying policy, making the penetration. See, insurance, I still see that many people when see the insurance thing, they see is a liability. It's a liability kind of product. Okay, they don't realize what insurance can help them. Okay. It's not something that insurance company or the consumer shall see is a push product. Okay, they themselves shall come and they see that the advantages that they are getting. Transparency is one big issue. Okay, consumer must know what exactly they are getting from that policy. What will be the benefits? Many times that we have seen that agents go there, they sell something to them, but in actually the policy was something different. So having right insights for the consumer, having right insights for the regulator, and getting the correct dynamics is quite important. And these are the big challenges that all of them together will need to solve.
All right, Eric, I see you nodding quite a bit. Are these some of the challenges that you've encountered when you're trying to build your business?
Correct. So mindset and culture or in regards to the insurance industry was one of the biggest barriers we experienced while we were trying to build out our model with underwriters as well. Because when you think about how policies are structured, you always have the underwriter as the key focal point in regards to what that particular policy should ensure or how it should be carried out as well. However, how we overcame these challenges is by working with underwriters, using the existing offerings. And if I put it into perspective, for example, if you look at an insurance policy as an A4 picture, we use the technology that we currently have to expand that into an A0 or an A1. How can we use the same offering but in a bigger, setup? If for example, very minute, if you have a cover that is 100,000, what can we do with that 100,000 by inserting, technology to make it much more impactful? I know time's up. However, the speaker from Turaco said that one of the things that, the statement that he said is that, insurance is a product that you buy, but you hope that you'll never get to use it. However, having sat with insurance policies myself, there's usually how we sell insurance. We sell it as fear. We used to say, sell fear to the client. And then at the end of it, if this particular risk or loss does not occur, now questions are emerging from these particular consumers on what is the impact of this particular policy for the last 12 years, for the last 12 months. My car has not had an accident. I have not fallen in. So what have I gained from this particular policy? And those are some of the hard questions that we are able to answer by thinking outside the box and ensuring that even though the loss that we anticipated and created the policy for has not happened, we can still, using technology, innovate solutions that are adjacent. For example, can we have an impact on their lifestyle management? Can we have an impact on preventative care? Even though the client has not fallen ill, how can we prove impact at the end of the policy period?
Maybe you allow me to add one thing here. I love what you're saying, right? And this goes already very deep. When we are thinking about usability of insurance, or just the insurance topic as a whole, unfortunately, and let me give you one example. I'm allowed to give birth to this baby, right? And I got a proposal from the hospital, and I'm not going to name the hospital of my underwriter, of, I think, 500,000 shilling for a C-section. Boom. 3 years ago, I had my first child. You know what they charged when I left? 1.5 million shilling. So I'm looking at it as a user now, as an end user, and it comes back to what Mtiba is doing in terms of really, and I'm sitting there, wow, our issues are much more on the surface. Ali, when you're buying a travel and they're asking us crazy questions about our kids signing the travel policy, right? It is not even going as deep as, behavioral data, as much as we would like to talk about it, and I'm 100% with you. The problem we're having in the industry is so obvious in terms of clear processes, transparency, and just doing, having my investors like using the word playbook, right? I mean, how can it be that an underwriter is not shouting out and say, 3 years ago we paid 1.5, now we are being asked to pay 500, and underwriter is asking Ali, hey, ask your children to sign your travel policy. I'm just making something up. I know we had that discussion. I know. So
okay,
yeah.
Let me just finish up with Frank, because you made really good points about the collaboration between insurance companies and InsureTechs. How would you advise them, their regulator, to operate and create a space where innovation is actually possible, so they don't stifle it, they encourage it?
I think from where I see it, it's just one thing the regulator has to do. One is have a more approach of the outcome more than the process. Yeah, insist on the outcome. What do you want to see happening? Because when you spend your time thinking about the process, you begin to stifle growth. But if you were to clearly define what you want to see in the market and allow the different players to adjust their systems and the way they work around your preferred outcome, then innovation becomes very easy. But traditionally, rules have always been put with a lot of processes. And the process that sometimes does not really offer a ground for innovation. And the second thing is proactivity. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that they could do to us is see where the market is going and begin to offer solutions and parameters around where the market is going to go, instead of sharing every quarter. And I don't know whether the regulator is here. Do's and don'ts to the different players in the market. Define the outcome and let the players adjust their way they think around what the outcome should be. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. We can't take your questions, unfortunately. I'd just like to clarify, the regulator was invited. The regulator was not able to attend. It would have been interesting to have them here. Thank you. Thank you very much.